The bet at table 7. The billionaire's challenge echoed across the restaurant like a gunshot. "I'll give you $1 million, he said, voice dripping with arrogance, "if you can take my order in Arabic." The laughter that followed wasn't kind. The kind of laughter that filled expensive rooms, where power made cruelty sound like a joke. Samantha Adams didn't flinch. Her hand stayed steady on her notepad, though her heart hammered against her ribs. She'd dealt with worse men, politicians, diplomats, even generals, but something about this one felt different. Sharper. More dangerous. It was another long night at Lumiere, Manhattan's most exclusive restaurant, a cathedral of glass and gold where billionaires came to flaunt their appetites and staff were expected to be invisible. Table 7 was his table, the kind her manager warned everyone about. The man in the midnight blue suit who lounged like he owned the city. His beard was trimmed to precision, his cufflinks glinted with the Falcon insignia, an empire's mark. Kareem Al-Fahad. Rumor said he'd bought 3 hotels in the city in the past month alone. Rumor also said he'd once had a rival disappear. "Good evening, sir," Samantha greeted evenly. "Welcome to Lumiere. May I recommend the chef's tasting menu tonight?" Kareem's dark eyes flicked up lazily, assessing her the way collectors assess art. His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Recommend?" he repeated, voice low, accented, deliberate. "Tell me, Miss Adams," he said, glancing at her name tag, "what makes it so special?" Her tone stayed professional, but her spine straightened. "It's exclusive. Wagyu beef slow-cooked for 8 hours, seasoned with imported herbs from Morocco." He interrupted with a wave of his hand. "Everyone eats that. I want something unique." He leaned back, the picture of relaxed dominance. "Something no one else can order." Samantha held his gaze. "Then perhaps, sir, respect." For a heartbeat, silence. Then his companions laughed again, louder this time. Kareem's smile widened, not with humor, but challenge. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a checkbook, and scribbled with a gold pen. When he slid the paper across the table, the number at the bottom made nearby diners gasp. $1 million, he said softly. "If you take my order, in Arabic." The restaurant fell silent. Even the pianist stopped mid-note. Samantha's blood turned to fire. This wasn't just arrogance. It was humiliation disguised as entertainment. But 2 years at the United Nations had taught her patience, diplomacy, and the precise moment when silence could strike back harder than word. She met his gaze steadily. "As-salamu alaykum," she began, her voice calm, accent flawless. "Kaifa yumkinuni muzatatuk al-yawm, Sayyid al-Fahad?" Kareem froze. Her Arabic flowed like a song, measured, graceful, the kind of fluency that came from study, not imitation. She went on, describing dishes, wine pairings, and specials in the formal dialect of the Arabian Peninsula. When she finally stopped, you could hear a pin drop. Then came the applause, from another table first, then more. Whispered gasps rippled through the room. Kareem's expression had shifted entirely. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something like astonishment. He answered quietly in Arabic, testing her with regional inflections only natives would know. She responded without hesitation. "Perfectly. Where did you learn that?" he finally asked in English, voice lower now. "Harvard," she said simply. "Linguistics department. Semitic languages." He blinked. "Harvard," he echoed, as if the word itself were out of place in a waitress's mouth. "And now you serve tables?" "Career changes happen," she replied, offering him the practiced smile of someone who had nothing left to prove. "Will you be ordering the wine, sir?" He looked at the check still on the table, the ink glinting under the lights. "The check is yours," he said finally. "I'm a man of my word." "Keep it," she said, turning away. "I don't need your charity." The words landed like a slap, and when she walked away, head high, the restaurant seemed to breathe again. From across the room, Kareem watched her work with quiet precision. Every move calculated, efficient. Nothing about her said, Harvard. Nothing said, spy. But his instincts whispered there was more beneath that calm exterior. His life had been built on instincts, buying, selling, acquiring, always reading the unspoken. And this woman, this Samantha Adams, was unreadable. Should I run a background check? Ahmad, his head of security, asked quietly. Kareem swirled his wine, watching the red liquid spiral. No, he said finally. Just find out who she is. It was curiosity at first, then something else. Something unfamiliar. He'd built his empire from nothing after his father's death, climbing through boardrooms and backrooms alike until Falcon Hotels dominated 5 continents. At 32, he was rich, respected, feared, and bored out of his mind. Until now. When Samantha returned to his table with their appetizers, Kareem caught her eye. Ms. Adams, he said, voice softer. I owe you an apology. My behavior earlier was ungentlemanly. Her professional tone didn't waver. Apology accepted, sir. Enjoy your meal. But the faintest glimmer of amusement touched her lips before she turned. That subtle spark unsettled him more than any business rival ever had. By dessert, he was lost in thought. Her file, as Ahmad later reported, was thin, too thin. Cambridge address until 2 years ago, Ahmad said. Then nothing. No employment record, no digital footprint, no social media. It's like she disappeared. Kareem frowned. Or someone erased her. That night, as the city lights blurred outside his penthouse window, Kareem poured himself another glass of scotch. Samantha Adams, Harvard linguist turned waitress, fluent in Arabic, Persian, French, Russian, Mandarin. Hidden past, erased history. He couldn't decide if she was a puzzle or a warning. And yet, when he closed his eyes, all he could hear was her voice. Calm, defiant, steady. I don't need your charity. For a man used to buying everything, that sentence haunted him. The man at the door. The pianist had just found his rhythm again when trouble walked in wearing an expensive suit and a bad decision. Samantha felt it before she saw it, a shift in air, a hush at the host's stand, the way Marcel the maitre d' went too still for a moment. Sir, we have a dress code, Marcel said, voice smooth as cream. Relax, Marcel, the man slurred, flashing a diplomatic smile that looked like it had been polished for press photos and drowned in whiskey. Silver hair, handsome in the way power can be handsome, and eyes too bright to be sober. Victor Caldwell. Samantha's hand tightened around the tray. She hadn't seen him in 2 years. She'd prayed she never would again. He scanned the room, slow and predatory, until his gaze clicked onto her like a target settling in a scope. Sam, he called, not loud but sharp. Cut through the dining room like a knife. Samantha Adams. Her spine locked. Every instinct screamed, do not run. Running draws eyes. Running confirms guilt. She turned toward the kitchen instead, measured steps, tray balanced, face neutral. She passed the pass, set the tray down too gently, and whispered, back entrance. A hand brushed her elbow. Ahmed, Kareem's head of security, had already moved from the shadows near the bar, presenting a leather folder to Marcel as if they were discussing reservations. He didn't look at her when he murmured, keep walking. Don't look back. Marcel intercepted Caldwell with professional dignity and a steel core Samantha had always admired. Mr. Caldwell, we can seat you after a brief wait. May I take your coat? Out of my way, I'm here to see her. Caldwell's finger cut the air toward the kitchen doors. Private matter. The room vibrated with held breath. Money knew money. Half the guests recognized Caldwell from news photos and gala stages. The other half recognized the tone of a powerful man used to forcing doors open. Samantha slipped into the staff corridor, pace steady. When she reached the alley exit, she stopped to breathe like a swimmer coming up too fast. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lisa. Where are you? 2 guys came by the building. Suit. Asking for you. Samantha typed with numb thumbs. Stay inside. Lock the door. Don't talk to anyone. Another vibration. Unknown number. Answer and live. Ignore and you'll wish you hadn't. She stared at the threat until the letters blurred. Then she killed the phone, popped the SIM, and slid both into separate trash bins. She stood under the red glow of the exit sign, listening to pots clatter and plates sing on the other side of the door, willing her heartbeat to come down. She had vanished once. She could vanish again. She would not fold because a ghost said her name in a dining room. The door pushed open an inch. Not Caldwell. Ahmad. He showed her empty palms before speaking. He's leaving. We're escorting him out. Are you all right? I'm at work, she said, because that was easier than the handful of truths rattling her bones. I need to finish my shift. Ahmad paused, reading her like a threat matrix. Then finish it from the service station. I'll put a man on the staff corridor. No, she said, and it surprised her that she meant it. Stubbornness, dignity, whatever, she would not spend the night hiding behind a stack of menus. I've got tables. Then take the long way around, Ms. Adams. He stepped back, holding the door for her as if they were at a garden party. And keep your eyes up. She went back out. She took orders. She smiled. She refilled water and accepted thanks and avoided mirrors. Kareem didn't call her over again, didn't so much as glance at her as he rose to leave, until he signed the check, his pen a quiet drag across linen. She reached for the leather folder and saw the tip. $10,000. This is too much, she said, keeping her voice professional, her pulse invisible. Consider it an investment, he said. In what? A conversation you'll decide to have. His calm unsettled her more than Caldwell's heat. Then he slid a business card to the edge of the table, not pushing it toward her, just letting it be. Or throw it away. Your choice. She left the card on the table. She walked the check to the back station and stared at the numbers until they lost meaning. By the time she clocked out, Manhattan felt colder. She took the late train to Queens because cabs were too easy to trace, kept her head down as a dozen strangers rode their private storms around her, and tried not to imagine Caldwell's voice following her home like a stray. Lisa opened the apartment door before Samantha even knocked. She had her hair in a bun and her worry on her sleeve. Behind her, 2 suitcases already by the couch. Oh God, Samantha said, throat tight. You saw them. They were showing your photo, Sam, Lisa whispered. They said it was routine. Routine my ass. I told them you moved to Denver. Samantha laughed once, brittle. Denver is nice this time of year. This is not funny. I can't, Sam, I can't do this. Lisa swallowed hard. I love you, you know that, but I didn't sign up to whatever this is. You didn't, Samantha said, gentle. You shouldn't have to. She went to her room and pulled the canvas bag from the closet floor. Passport, emergency cash, burner phone wrapped in foil, keys, a small pistol she kept double-locked and touched only in nightmares. 2 years taught her to pre-pack a life. She added jeans, 2 shirts, a sweater. Left the rest. You can't run with a suitcase. Lisa leaned on the doorframe. Is this about your old job? The one you never talk about. I used to translate, Samantha said, shouldering the bag. 4 people who lied for a living. Lisa blinked back tears. Where will you go? A hotel under an old name. 3 nights. She forced a smile. I'll send my half of the rent until you find someone sane to live with. Forget the rent, Lisa said, stepping forward and clutching her. Just don't die. I'm stubborn, Samantha said into her hair. It's a problem. 20 minutes later she was in a taxi. She told the driver 1 cross street, got out 3 blocks early, walked to another cab, then another. She rented a room at a brownstone hotel that had the kind of floral carpet you couldn't describe to police later, and paid in cash. She booked 3 nights under an alias that still had breath left in it. The room smelled like lemon cleaner and old conversations. She set her bag down and locked the door chain. Then she took the burner from the lining, pressed it to her chest until her hands stopped shaking, and texted a single contact under a name that meant nothing to anyone but her. Weather's turning. Might need to travel north. The reply came in under a minute. Storm already here. Museum. Noon. Don't bring your old coat. Marcus. Reliable like morning. One line, 3 meanings, all bad. Samantha scrubbed her face and opened her laptop. She searched Kareem Al-Fahad because he'd become a problem the second he became a possibility. The open web told a simple story. Hotel prodigy, Oxford polish, parents dead in a plane crash, empire built with the kind of focus grief sharpens. Clean edges, no dirt. Which meant the dirt lived elsewhere. A knock. Gentle. Too gentle. She froze. No one knew she was here. Even Marcus didn't know the alias she'd used to book the room. He'd told her not to. Ms. Adams, a male voice said through the door. Come. Low. I apologize for the late hour. Her hand closed around the pistol in her bag. She didn't speak. Ahmad, the voice said, as if offering a password. From Mr. Al-Fahad's staff. Samantha swallowed. How did you find me? We followed the men who were following you. She peered through the peephole. Ahmad stood alone under the hallway sconce, palms visible, shoulders forward. He looked like the kind of man who could disappear inside a crowded elevator and take it with him. You have 10 seconds, she said, keeping her voice level. Make them count. Victor Caldwell is dead. The world tilted. She had prepared herself for discovery, for flight. She had not prepared for this sudden absence where an enemy lived. You're lying. Turn on the TV, Ahmad said. Channel 7. Samantha dragged the old remote from the dresser, thumbed it to life, and kept one eye on the door. The screen flashed breaking news. Former State Department official found dead in Midtown Hotel. The Chiron crawled with the same sentence in different words. She didn't hear the anchor's voice. She only heard the ringing she'd learned to fear during the worst days at the UN. Ms. Adams, Ahmad said, quiet now. They will frame you. They've already started. Samantha breathed in through her nose and out through her mouth because a panic attack was a luxury and fear would get her killed. Why would a billionaire's security chief care if I'm framed? Because my employer believes your enemies are his, Ahmad said. And because he owes your family. Silence stretched. In it, she could hear herself deciding. Back away from the door, she said. Hands high. Turn around. He obeyed without comment. She slid the chain, opened the lock, and kept the pistol low and close as she ghosted the door open. Wise, Ahmad said, not looking back. Mr. Al-Fahad is downstairs. We should go. Why would I get in a car with a man who humiliated me for sport and a bodyguard who found me in under an hour? Because Victor Caldwell died less than 90 minutes after he said your name in a room full of witnesses, Ahmad said evenly. Because a warrant with your name on it is moving through a judge's chambers right now. And because the people who killed your father prefer their loose ends tied in the dark. The last sentence landed like a match on dry grass. She hadn't told him about her father. She hadn't told anyone since she ran. Who told you? No one, Ahmad said, turning enough for her to see sincerity and exhaustion share his face. Mr. Al-Fahad recognized you. He believes your father saved his father's life a long time ago. The room seemed to shrink. Memories surged. Her father laughing in a Riyadh courtyard, the weight of a secret she didn't understand then, the sterile language of the autopsy that lied about his heart. 5 minutes, she said, holstering the pistol and grabbing her bag. If this is a trap, you won't have to worry about finding me again. Downstairs, the night manager glanced up as they crossed the lobby. Ahmad had a way of being the sort of person no one stopped. Outside, a black Bentley idled at the curb, its paint swallowing the city's neon. The rear door opened. Kareem sat inside, not the arrogant hedonist from the dining room, not the tabloid billionaire. He looked like a man who had been waiting a decade for someone to knock on the right door. Samantha, he said, using her first name as if it had always belonged in his mouth. We have a problem in common. She stopped on the sidewalk. The city breathed around them, sirens slicing distant avenues, a couple laughing too loudly, the hiss of a bus. Manhattan's lullaby for the hunted and the hunters. She could turn and vanish, and spend the next 2 years doing nightly calisthenics with fear. Or she could step into a car that smelled of leather and intent and drive straight into the center of the storm that had followed her across borders and seasons. "What do you want?" she asked. "The truth," he said. "And the people who killed our fathers." Something uncoiled in her chest, not hope yet, but something that could remember how. She slid into the car. The door shut with a soft, absolute sound. The city fell away, and the life she had been surviving turned toward the life she might finally live, if they both didn't die first. The Alliance. The Bentley slid through Manhattan's midnight veins, past the towers of glass and steel that glittered like watchful eyes. Inside, the air hummed with tension. Samantha sat rigid, clutching her bag. Kareem watched her the way a strategist watches the board, measuring every move before he speaks. Ahmad drove in silence, the city reflected in his eyes like coded signals. 2 years hiding in plain sight, Kareem finally said. That takes skill. I wasn't hiding, she replied. I was surviving. Their eyes met, flint and steel. Neither looked away. He poured himself a drink from the built-in bar, amber liquid catching the light. You know, when I offered you that ridiculous bet, I thought I was amusing myself. Turns out, I might have found the one person who could ruin everything I thought I knew. Flattery doesn't suit you, she said. What do you want from me, Mr. Al-Fahad? Answers, he said simply. The kind your old boss died for. The words landed like a strike. You think I killed him? No. But someone wants the world to think you did. His tone sharpened. And I want to know why. The car turned north, merging onto the quieter streets near Central Park. Kareem leaned forward. You knew Victor Caldwell. What did he have on you? Nothing, she said. But I had something on him. His brow lifted. At the UN, she continued, voice low, I was translating a closed meeting between State Department officials and Saudi delegates. They discussed something called Operation Sandstorm. Caldwell tried to pass it off as a joint energy project, but I heard enough Arabic to know it wasn't. She stared out the window. Weapons, money, names, and one phrase I'll never forget. Phase 2 begins when the old blood is gone. Kareem stilled. Old blood, he echoed. My father used to say that same phrase in fear. She turned to him sharply. Your father. He nodded once. Ibrahim Al-Fahad wasn't just a businessman. He worked with the CIA during the 90s, undercover liaison. The coup that nearly tore Riyadh apart? He stopped it. And the man who saved his life was an American diplomat named, his eyes found hers. David Adams. Her breath caught. My father. Exactly. The car went silent except for the hum of the city outside. 2 names buried in different countries, 2 deaths marked as accidents, now linked by a thread neither of them had seen coming. My father died of a heart attack, she whispered. So did mine, Kareem said softly. At 38. She looked at him, realization dawning. They were murdered. He nodded once. And I intend to prove it. The elevator doors opened to Kareem's penthouse, a cathedral of marble and glass overlooking the Black River of Central Park. Ahmad swept the room automatically, checking alarms, blinds, entry points. When he finally nodded, Kareem gestured toward the living area. Sit, he said, gentler now. You're safe here. Samantha didn't move. Safe is a word people like you use before everything explodes. He smiled faintly. Then I'll say temporary. She sat, watching as he placed a small folder on the coffee table. Inside were photographs, grainy scans, redacted documents, and one yellowed photo of 2 men shaking hands in a desert courtyard. Her father and his. I found this last year, Kareem said. It came from a box my mother kept hidden in our London house. I didn't understand its importance until tonight. Samantha's eyes traced her father's face, younger, smiling, alive. I thought I'd never see another picture of him. Kareem sat opposite her, his gaze unwavering. I think our fathers uncovered something during that coup, something the wrong people wanted buried. Caldwell's death proves it's still alive. She nodded slowly. Operation Sandstorm. He reached into another folder, spreading out evidence like cards in a dangerous game. Financial statements, encrypted communications, flight manifest. I've been collecting this for years. Money funneled through shell companies. Donations to political front. All roads lead to one name, Mohammed bin Rashid. The Saudi investor? She asked, frowning. The philanthropist? The man who orchestrated my parents' plane crash, Kareem said, voice flat. And the same man who likely ordered your father's murder. Her heart pounded. Why tell me this now? Because I can't fight this alone anymore, he said simply. And because when you answered me in Arabic tonight, I realized you're not just surviving, you're capable. Samantha studied him. You want me to help bring down a billionaire who kills diplomats and topples governments. He didn't flinch. Yes. That's insane. Probably. Her laugh came out tight. You're serious. As a heart attack, he said, and for a moment, the shared irony drew a ghost of a smile between them. Ahmad returned, setting a sleek black laptop on the table. Sir, the warrant's official. Samantha Adams, wanted for questioning in the murder of Victor Caldwell. Orders from federal level. Samantha's pulse spiked. Federal? Already? They're fast, Ahmad said. Too fast. Someone's pulling strings. Kareem turned to her. You can't go back to your apartment. They'll be waiting. I know. I can protect you, he said, standing now, restless energy in every line. For one night, at least. Tomorrow we find proof that ties bin Rashid to Caldwell's murder. After that, I'll get you out of the country. And how do you plan to find proof? He smiled, sharp, confident, the way predators smile when they already smell victory. Tomorrow night, the Falcon Hotel hosts its annual charity gala. Bin Rashid will attend. He'll be too arrogant to leave his secrets at home. You're going to steal from him. I prefer retrieve evidence, he said. Semantics. That's suicide, she said. You can't just walk into your own gala and rob a guest. Who said I'd be the one stealing? Samantha's eyes widened. You can't be serious. I need someone who can blend in, adapt fast, and read Arabic without raising suspicion, Kareem said, meeting her gaze. I need you. She stood, pacing to the window. The city glittered below like spilled diamonds. Somewhere down there, men in suits were already erasing her life, line by line. Maybe there was no running left to do. She turned back. We do this my way, she said finally. Quiet, clean, no mistakes. Agreed. And if anything goes wrong, I disappear. No heroics. Kareem inclined his head. Then let's make sure nothing goes wrong. Ahmad looked between them. You'll need clearance badges, a disguise, security schedules. I'll handle logistics. Samantha exhaled, the weight of decision settling on her shoulders. Guess I'd better find something to wear. Kareem's smile returned, faint but real. Actually, I have something in mind. Later, as she stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city stretching infinite below, Samantha felt the world tilt again. For 2 years she'd run from her past. Now she was running toward it, straight into the fire. And beside her stood a man she barely knew, bound to her by blood debts and buried secrets. Kareem joined her, a glass in hand, his reflection dark beside hers. You could still walk away, he said quietly. Could I? She asked. I think it's been chasing me too long. He nodded slowly. Then tomorrow night we end it. Or it ends us. Their eyes met in the glass, twin reflections caught between light and shadow. For the first time in years, Samantha didn't feel like prey. She felt like a storm waiting to break.